Welcome back, explorers. I'm David, that's Wesley, and this, of course, is the Trailcast.
The weekly show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up. Okay, David, I guess I'll take the glasses off. I did that because I'm looking at the image of me on my computer while we're recording here, and I see the bags underneath my eyes. Baby hasn't even
Well,
come
here,
yet. Baby hasn't even come yet, and I'm
I think
already
you need more.
sleep
I think you need
deprived.
this more than I do.
Yeah.
Uh, um, yeah. For those of you who are listening, this is Apple. We'll call it
I don't know if that's gonna wake me up too much, David.
that. Maybe not, but
I didn't drink
we'll
all
see.
my coffee this morning. So that might be why. But my bags under the eyes are getting a bit worse. It's probably gonna get even worse here in a little bit. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we are here to talk about what, David? What are we here to talk about?
Well, I think first we were talking about Bad Batch because we
Oh, did
got
they have a new
another.
episode that came out?
Well, I wouldn't say new, but it was another episode.
You know, you said that, and I didn't have the words in my mind, but that exactly describes this episode. This was basically one, it's basically just another episode that we've seen multiple times before. But two, what was different about this episode and the episode before?
Um, the setting.
But like, your brain's smart with me, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, for those of you who have not watched this episode, you're not missing much. Basically, it's the same thing as the last episode, and yeah, basically it was the Bad Batch is still working with the Vice Admiral guy, trying to
Um,
find Tantus, and they finally are actually heading there. But we
hmm
have to wait till next week to see that.
You know what would be really funny is if in the next episode they drop out of hyperspace, because at the end of this episode, they lock on, they dock onto a ship that is headed to Tantus because Tantus is such a secret facility that you have to go to this landing pad base or whatever, and there you are transmitted the coordinates, then you jump to hyperspace. So your hyper like your ship is transmitted the coordinates to Tantus. You don't actually get to put them in. So
Mhm.
so basically the only way for the Bad Batch to find a way to get to Tantus was to um lock on and dock onto the ship. So they did that. What would be funny, and I wouldn't even be surprised, I wouldn't even be that disappointed, is if they drop out of hyperspace and it's not Tantus.
Oh, okay. They only have 2 episodes left, so I highly doubt that that's going to happen.
This is a very
However, that
slow
would
going show, David.
however that would be funny.
They need one more filler episode, and then they can tie it all together in the end. Also, okay, I and here's the thing. Let me for anyone, because here's the thing. I'm aware of the fact that the people that normally listen to this podcast, the people that I know that normally listen to this podcast and that you and I talk to that listen to the podcast family wise, have no idea, never watched the Bad Batch. Uh my sisters probably don't care to. Rob has said maybe he will. You and I will probably need to go through and pick out important episodes for him to watch if he ever gets around to wanting to watch it. Um, so there's is that. But for anyone who might stumble across this episode and listen to it in full and really like this episode, because I was reading some comments under the new Rockstars breakdown of this episode, and people were like, "Man, this is my favorite episode. Like this was great. This was amazing." And I was like, "I don't get it. Hey, I don't want to knock your favorite episode if you so and so happen to watch this and like the episode. I just didn't see the point." I also get that they're trying to focus on Omega more, and I've liked a lot of what they've done in this season in focusing on her. But this episode was still boring. You know?
Mm,
Like she was clever, right? That was nice to see. She's clever. But we know she's clever, right? Like we could have lumped last week's episode and this week's episode into one episode and shown how clever she was. You know, you don't need to split it into 2 weeks, and it doesn't take 40 minutes to tell all this story. You don't need 20-minute episodes of this. So I was very disappointed. I wasn't as disappointed this week as I was last week because I was expecting more from last week's episode. This week's episode, I was just like, more of the same, whatever. But it was a little annoying because there's no real progression in the story. We don't know anything else.
mhm.
We don't know
And
anything new.
and it's kind of annoying because, like, okay, earlier on there were a lot of filler episodes in this season. I didn't mind so much because it was early in the season.
Mhm.
But having this like right next to the climax of the story of the entire show, it's kind of annoying having.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, um, I think it was maybe the 3rd episode or whatever, um, with, Hunter and Wrecker, and they're trying to figure out where Omega is, right? And they're trying to
Mhm,
find her. That episode, I when we first watched it, like, I really liked that episode, and honestly, when I first watched it, I didn't really see it as much o of a filler episode, despite the fact that it was. But the reason I didn't see it as much as a filler episode is because, like I said when we were talking and breaking it down, was we were comparing filler episodes in this season to filler episodes from seasons 2 and 1, where Sid missions was all the filler episodes were.
mhm,
Sid missions have no point whatsoever. That episode there had a point. They were trying to find Omega.
mhm.
And so I liked that. I liked that the filler episodes that they had still had a point. But yeah, to your point, that's the same thing that we just got in the past 2 weeks, right? So I should be happy about that, right? No, because it's so close to the end of the season, it's so close to when things are supposed to be wrapping up. It's it's not what I've wanted to see. I
Even
expected more.
even the episode with Fennec Shand and that whole mission, what
Mm,
that was the until these past two episodes, I think that was the most boring episode. But even that, I didn't really mind because it was, it had a
yeah.
point, and it was still kind of, early enough in the season where it was fine. Now,
Mhm.
one thing I do want to ask your opinion about with this. So, I just thought of something. So, do you think we're going to see more Ventress in this season, even though we only have two more episodes?
If we don't, we're getting a new TV show.
I was about to say because if we don't, then there was no point in retconning Dark Disciple.
Mhm. If we don't, because here's the thing, and this might be a rebuttal to what I just said about us getting a new TV show. We are getting Tales of the Empire. but I don't know how much Tales of the Empire is gonna dive into Ventress because its 2 main characters are Barasafi and,
Morgan
Beth,
Elsbeth.
Morgan Elsbeth. And Morgan Elsbeth would fall more in line with Ventress,
Like I
but I don't think that they would follow that path.
like I think we're probably going to get to see Ventress and hopefully even Marin in the arc of the Dathomirian Purge. We're probably gonna get to
Mhm.
see Ventress there, but that of course that's Clone Wars era.
Yeah.
I doubt we're
I
gonna
mean,
see
we
Ventress after the events
mhm.
of Bad Batch in that show.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about Dark Disciple last week, and in that, what we read, she talks a lot about the Dathomirian Purge. So they were, I think, about a year removed by the time Dark Disciple takes place. Dark Disciple takes place. I think they're about a year removed from the
Hmm.
beginning of it, from the Dathomirian Purge. So, and
Well,
then we got however many years from then till we find her here
yeah,
where
I would
she's
probably say about
alive.
another year. I'd probably say about another year.
Mhm. We also
But
gotta think,
we're
this is into the Empire's reign, so it could be even farther
mhm.
after that because all of Dark Disciple takes place before even Revenge of
Oh,
the
that's
Sith.
true. That's true. It's probably like 6 months to a year until Order 66, and then, like I said, this is 3 years after, or I'm assuming 3 years after Order 66. So it could be
It could
four
be about
years.
4 years. 4
That's
years
true.
before we
That's
see
true.
her here. So even if she is in the Purge, like you said, it's during the Clone Wars. So
That's like 5 years before. Yeah.
we would need another show because yeah, it doesn't make sense. And here's the thing too, it doesn't make sense to bring her in just to say, yeah, she is force sensitive, and say it in such a discreet way that hey, she needs to come train with me if you want her to be safe.
There are so many other characters they could have used for that.
Yeah. So why specifically Asajj Ventress, and why, like you said, retcon Dark Disciple,
Like I
and
know
not
so
necessarily even retcon, but they don't have any explanation to it.
mhm.
So
So if
what's going on?
if they just wanted a character to be there to say, "Yeah, she's force sensitive," it would have made more sense to bring in Ahsoka. Because I know
Yes.
Ahsoka was supposed to be in hiding at this time, but they're on a remote island on a remote planet in the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
What better place for Ahsoka to hide?
Mhm.
So,
And I'm pretty sure that Ahsoka probably, I mean, it depends on what route they took with this. But Ahsoka was probably plugged into the bounty hunter game. She may not have partaken in it, but I'm sure she knew and had contacts with all stuff like that to know what was going
mhm,
on. I mean, she was Fulcrum. She was supposed to be the intelligence agent or whatever that the Empire, or not the Empire, the rebels used for a while there. I mean, that's where Rex got a lot of his intel from and stuff like that. So
um, yeah, like you're saying, Rex got a bunch of his intel from Ahsoka during time of the Clone Wars and stuff. So wouldn't it would make a lot of sense for if they wanted to bring Ahsoka in instead of Ventress to just have Rex be the one to contact her
yeah, yeah,
instead of having to bring in Fennec Shan.
and that would cut out that episode too. But also, then you also have this thought within all this. You're not just bringing in Asajj Ventress. You're bringing in an Asajj Ventress that we've never seen before.
Hmm.
This is a completely different character than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So you're I mean, you're bringing her in at a point that she would look like this, but it doesn't make sense why you would bring her in as a character that we've not had been introduced to this specific character before, and then not bring her back. So I don't know how she necessarily could play into the last two episodes of the series, but if she's not in it, which I kind of doubt that she will be, because like I said, I don't see a way for her to really have a point in it unless at the end of the series uh, they decide to give her to Omega. I mean, Omega decides to either go with the size of interest or something along those lines, right?
You see, that would
And
almost be like a backdoor pilot to another show.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of you'd have to do it that way, or I mean, you'd have to have another show if that's the ending. But there is a lot more to these characters, and I feel like that's one thing that this show is forgetting, right?
Mhm,
This show is taking up time. It is filling in time in Star Wars history, right? But it's not using that time wisely. It's just doing things. So, like you said, presumably we're 3 years past Order 66, right? So we're 3 years into the Empire, presumably, right?
mhm,
And so if you take all that into account, these characters are are 3 years older from when we last saw them. But how much more do we know about Omega? Not much, right? We don't know what her character's doing. So are we gonna have more shows about Omega to finally figure out she's about? Because they haven't been asking or answering these questions in the show. They've been
mhm,
working on the cloning thing. They've been working on Project Necromancer. And it's like this show has been focused on one thing, and it drags its feet trying to get to that one thing when it really could be focused on multiple things, asking multiple questions, and just have a main plot line where, hey, Project Fulcrum or Project Necromancer and everything entailed with that, what's going on in Tantus is our main point. But we're also talking about, hey, this is what's going on with Omega. This is where her story is leading. Like, we don't really know what's going on with Omega, where she came from, what her point is, and where she's going. We need another show because it can't all be, unless she dies at the end of the season. But even if she does, there's still a lot of questions that haven't been answered.
mhm. Which, as I said before, Bad Batch is a much darker show than, or at times, than some of the other shows have been. Well, maybe not necessarily darker than Clone Wars, but it's
I must say, I've
definitely
been
darker.
watching Clone Wars recently, and it's kind of dark.
But definitely darker than Rebels. Um, and so
Was it?
I could see them killing off, you know, Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair. But I don't think it would go as far as killing off Omega,
Yeah,
just because she's still a kid, and that's you understand what I'm saying?
yeah. I don't think that they're gonna go that route.
Yeah.
I think Clone Wars under Lucasfilm would, which is why, or not Clone Wars. I think Star Wars under Lucasfilm would, but Star Wars under Disney will not go that dark. That's why, despite the fact that, like you said, there are some darker elements to Bad Batch, shows like Rebels and shows like The Bad Batch aren't as dark because they're still perceived as kid shows. Whereas Clone Wars was a quote unquote kid show, but I mean, I've recently been rewatching Clone Wars. You know how we talked about like those first couple seasons not really being like that great and being more of a kiddie show?
Mhm,
Those first couple episodes are like, the first episode is obviously that Yoda one where he's going to negotiate peace treaties. That's a kid episode, right?
yeah,
But not too much longer after that, I think it's episode 5 or 6, is Rookies, which is the one where Rex and um Cody go to the outpost, and that one is a dark episode. I mean,
mhm,
a trooper blows himself up to save the day, right? Another one gets eaten by a worm, and the guys make jokes about it. You know, a guy gets like shot in the back. Like Rex shoots a clone helmet off a droid's head without knowing it's a clone. Like, there's some dark elements to this show.
Mhm.
that start very early on that I didn't remember them being like this. Like I didn't remember, I thought it was more of a kid show starting out, but there's some pretty dark episodes.
I also remember.
Um,
I think it's season one or season two. I'm pretty sure it's season one, but I also remember that that one episode with the Plo Koon and the clones on the
season 1,
asteroid.
and that is season 1, and that is the second episode's arc.
Yeah, because that I remember that's also kind of a
It's a
because
very
the
dark
clone
episode.
because the clones were talking about like why are you helping us? Most Jedi would just let us die. That's
It's
like
like, yeah,
that's a dark
we're not
dark
important.
theme.
Yeah, and then you have droids going around to the escape pods that are around and busting the windows open to kill the clones. Like that's
Hmm.
those are dark things happening in an episode. And I think anyone who watched Clone Wars can admit the droids are pretty funny.
Hmm.
They're stupid, but they're really funny. Some of their dialogue's really funny, but like they have no concern, they have no care. They're just trying to kill the enemy, and it's a lot darker show than I remember watching growing up. Um, but that was before Disney, and they did stuff like that. Disney won't do that nowadays. I don't think Disney will do that. So you're right. I don't think Omega's going to die, but there has to be a some somewhere down the line we have to see her. Also, if all the dad batch, if all the bad batch is not dead, I don't know. If all the bad batch is not dead by the end of this series, why are they not with Rex, Wolf, and Gregor?
Or at least active members of the rebellion.
Yeah. That also begs the question, and I hope because this is unless we get another series, this is the end of Clone Wars. Like we
Hmm.
have an end to Clone Wars, but this is the end of Clone Wars and clones and all that stuff. What
Yeah,
happens to Cody? We still don't know.
and for being a very main character in Clone Wars, I mean, I know he wasn't like a main character, but he was a recurring character. So for being like that,
Yeah.
playing that big of a role in Clone Wars, it's kind of weird. We don't know what happened to him.
I mean, Rex was the main clone throughout Clone Wars
Mm,
because throughout Clone Wars, they mostly followed Anakin. It was Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, but Anakin was the main one that they followed in a lot of his battle endeavors and stuff like that. But Anakin or Rex was Anakin's clone commander, Cody was Obi-Wan's, another main character in Clone Wars. So yeah,
mm,
he deserves some kind of an ending, good or bad. We deserve to know how he meets his fate, you know.
mm.
So there's a
And
lot.
because he didn't make an appearance in Rebels, I would assume his fate was probably not good.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we also have to figure out what's going like what's the rest of the plot with Wolf, right? You know, what happens with him? There's a lot to be answered, and here's the thing. I've mentioned this because I ranted about it last week, and I'm just gonna go ahead and rant about it again. Ahsoka did this, and the reason I keep bringing Ahsoka up is because this was one problem that I had with Ahsoka, and it's a little more fresh in my mind than like the Mandalorian. They have a end goal that you know from the beginning of the series, beginning of the season, and they take forever to get to that point. I really hope that this is not the new Star Wars because we talked about the other day when we were talking about Tales of the Empire. I think I just get more excited for animated Star Wars. I think animated Star Wars is the peak Star Wars right now. Um, and so if it's jumping in, and this is just a trend that Bad Batch has had, and I guess we'll see how Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire goes. But I hate that they just drag it out so much.
Mhm.
It's really really getting on my nerves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a problem.
I'm just hoping that the last 2 episodes are, like, 40 minutes long or something. Because I honestly don't know how they're gonna wrap all this up without.
Well, I mean, we do know how they're going to wrap it all up. They're not going to tell us half the questions that we're asking, and they're going to vaguely finish it off.
Like, okay, so, like, the whole thing with Wolf, and they could answer that, like, they could have a thing where, the Bad Batch, once they get to Tantus, send out a, like, message to Rex to come, help them, and then, the Empire gets, Wolf and his crew to come to Tantus to, help them, and that's how Wolf ends up with Rex. They could do that, but if they don't, that's the whole Chekhov's gun thing.
Hmm.
It's bad storytelling to introduce a gun in Act 1 and then not have it used by Act 3.
You know how many guns they got in play right now?
Exactly. Exactly.
we got
So
we got Project Necromancer, right? We got Omega's force abilities, right? Which we kind of
mm,
have a little bit used of, but the extent of it, we don't know anything about that, right? Um, we have Wolf, we have Asajj Ventress, and we have them trying to blow up and destroy Tantus. I think this is what they're gonna check off. The rest of them are gonna get left hanging.
yeah.
That's
And
how these things go.
yeah. And then they're gonna, create another or make another series to answer one of those questions. And that series is gonna add a whole bunch of other questions that it's not gonna answer.
Star Wars has gotten so much more. I kind of want to go back and watch like A New Hope right now because when I watch A New Hope, I block out everything. When I watch A New Hope, when I watch Empire, when I watch um uh Return of the Jedi, I don't think about hey Rebels. Oh hey Mandalorian's happening. Not too long after this. Oh hey this. No, I am in. When I watch them, I am in 1977. I am in 1980 something. I don't remember when they came out. Anyways,
1982 and 85 or
that's what I was
86.
thinking. I think it's 80. I don't know. It might be 86. But anyways, I am in that time where all that Star Wars is those three movies. Sometimes I just need to purge the brain from all the chaos because there's so much and it's so confusing too because they do this. There's so
Mhm.
many questions, they keep adding questions and they never get around to answering it. And it's just like do better. Do better
Like,
with your
okay,
storytelling. Like Dave Filoni,
okay,
I know you know how to do better. So if
okay.
you're the one heading up these projects, do better.
Even in 2005, prequels have come out, and at this time, there was a lot of other Star Wars stuff, from comics to games to short stories to books to whatever. There was a lot of Star Wars stuff, but it was kind of like a buffet where
Mhm,
you could pick and choose whatever you liked better to be your Star Wars canon.
mhm,
And if you just wanted to say, "Nope, just the movies," you could do that. But now, no,
mhm,
everything has to tie together. Everything like they've made this world so convoluted.
mhm.
So just like I love all the lore elements,
Yeah.
but when you've got so many, excuse me, when you've got a franchise that's been around for 40 years, coming up on 50 years. Oh, actually, no, wait. Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah. I know it's close.
That's when, yeah, if you've got a franchise coming up on 50 years, you've had countless people working on it, two major companies. You've got so much just like inconsistency in the lore.
Well, and you know what was crazy is before Disney bought out Star Wars, Lucasfilm, that there was a consistent timeline. You can watch plenty of YouTube videos going over the main timeline of the universe,
Mhm,
and they all are the same. And you can go read the books. They all it's a very fluid timeline, right? And this was works that were made by multiple different people, but it made sense. And it connected enough that it was connected, but not so much that it like was all convoluted like it this is, you know. Like um, like this, okay? There is a complete and I love this story. He's probably my favorite character outside of the main universe Star Wars. Darth Revan, right?
mhm,
He has a complete story with ups and downs, plot twists, all these things, yada yada yada. But questions are answered throughout his story, right? You don't when you get to the end of his story, you're not asking questions anymore. It all makes sense. Okay? Oh, you get to a couple thousand years down the line. You have the story of Darth Bane. Again, ups and downs, twists and turns, bunch of different things happen in his story and his life. And get to the end of it and it makes sense. You understand what's happened. Well, how are you supposed to know that these two stories happen in the same universe? Well, one, there's a bunch of different locations that probably touch on the same things, a bunch of the religious things. Star Wars Force is a religion of sorts. So stuff like that take place in the same, with the same elements. But, Bane references Revan because he uses some of his holocrons, right? But it's not like, he's going back to, resurrect Revan for some big evil plan or something, or Revan was doing something that he like it doesn't have to tie in that much. Just passing references, to know it all happens. But it was all one cohesive story that still flowed together despite not
mhm,
every element having to fit together like that much. Now Star Wars has to this right now what we're watching in Bad Batch importance of it does not come into play for what? Another 70, 80 years or more? How
mhm.
long before Rise of Skywalker?
Well, let's see. There's 20 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. The Galactic Civil War from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi is probably what 3 to 4 years. So okay, so let's since Bad Batch is about 3 years after this, let's just say 20 years till Indoor, and then another 30 years. So about 50.
But yeah, this isn't coming to play for another 50 years. I mean, this is not the Sith evil plan of taking over the universe. That's taken a millennium or whatever, thousand years to get done. It's just It's very convoluted. And
Okay,
and
so
also because they're also trying to surprise Star Wars fans. You know what? Star Wars fans don't want to be surprised. They want to see what the good stories that they've wanted to see forever.
okay, I'm gonna use an example here. So in the movie Red Dawn, it's about Americans fighting to keep their independence from a foreign power.
Mhm.
The original one, it was the Soviets, and the new one, it's like North Korea and China or something. Whatever. Anyway, so that's why I just said foreign power. Anyway, that movie did not need to go back and reference the American Revolution and have a resurrected King George come back to threaten the freedom of America. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it, it
I
doesn't
I
need to
I
be full circle.
I do I do think that they're trying way too hard to make convoluted stories when in reality that's not what anyone wants.
Hmm.
David, what more do you have to say about the Bad Batch?
I also haven't talked about it that much because we've just been harping on Disney.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there's
Which
not much
I
that's
will say we did take a few weeks off from doing that, but nope, we're right back to it now.
it's not hard. I mean, it's really not hard to find reasons to harp on Disney Star Wars because they keep giving us reasons. It's sad. Sad. But I don't know. I don't know. It's probably time to go ahead and move on because we've been doing it for at least 40 minutes or so. Maybe a little less, but
39 and a half.
40 minutes.
Anyway, you had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so I texted you yesterday and said, "Do we have an idea for what we're talking about on today's podcast?"
Yeah,
You
we've gotten
said
really bad
no.
about that. We've gotten really bad
Yeah,
about planning these things,
well, we're going to be taking a break here soon and
and maybe I can actually get
which
a schedule up
we'll
again.
need to work on a schedule. Uh it might be sooner than expected. We'll figure those details out soon, David, and I'll talk to you about that after we're done. We're working on things. 'Cause I thought since we did Dark Disciple last week that we could maybe talk about Count Dooku, the main protagonist of Dark Disciple. The main story thread basically they wanted to kill him. So the antagonist. Anyways, so
Wait, did you say protagonist?
I did say protagonist. Shut up.
Oh,
It's been a while. All right, so David, what I'm going to do today, and probably all I'm going to do, is I have some quizzes I want to ask. I really just want to ask you some questions, okay? To
oh
see
no.
what I want to see how well you know Count Dooku.
Are these more StarWars.com quizzes?
No, not all of them. I had to search around. I couldn't find one on StarWars.com. And you know what?
What?
StarWars.com. If you look up on StarWars.com, um, quizzes and then like how well do you know, you will find a multitude of things. They say how well do you know the Millennium Falcon, but Count Dooku's not on there. I was annoyed by that, but I found some other quizzes and we're gonna go through those. So David, I've taken all these quizzes. I didn't do great on most of them, so
So
we'll see how that I don't know,
that means
David.
I'm probably not
I
going to do great on them.
I don't know. I don't know, David. You're pretty good with Star Wars. All right. Uh,
I don't know if I'm going to like this.
so there is a problem. So there was a couple of these that were timed quizzes, but afterwards I could go look at the answers. So I have all the answers with the questions. I don't have multiple choice for all of them, but I can come up with some multiple choice. Okay. I'll have to figure out the multiple choice, but I can come up with some of it. We're gonna work through this. Okay, David. First question. How old was Dooku at the time of his death? Okay, so here are your options. Uh, I don't actually have options. I'm thinking here.
I have a guess, but I don't know if it's
Oh,
right.
I'm gonna
I
make
think
it hard for you because it was hard for me.
it's close, but I don't know if it's right.
80, 81, 82, or 83.
Well, I was off because I was thinking 86.
Okay, well, bring it on
um,
down.
um, 82. We'll go with that.
Hey, that's what I guessed. I was wrong though. It was 83. He was 83 at the time of his death, according to StarWarsFandom.com.
I should have just gone with the
Uh,
closest one to my gut.
I don't have on here the options. All I have is what I guessed and the correct answer.
Mhm.
But in the options that I do, I remember it might have been like 78, 80, 82, and 83, but that's how close the options were. So it wasn't that much more difficult than what I just or harder. All right. How
Mhm.
many apprentices did Dooku have as both Jedi and Sith? Five, four, seven, or six?
Hold up.
How many
Ah,
apprentices did he have, Jedi and Sith combined?
okay. So I'm gonna think out loud here.
Please do.
So right off the bat, we know about Qui-Gon and Asajj Ventress. I don't think he had any more Sith apprentices. I want to say he had at least one more Jedi apprentice, and just based off of that, because that only puts me at three, I'm gonna guess four. Just
Okay. But you guessed wrong. I guessed right. It's six.
who?
I don't know because that doesn't isn't supplied in the answer, but the answer it chose here is six. Now, I do have a caveat to mention, and that comes in this next question, and I'll get to it in a second. So, give me a second. How many films does Dooku appear in? One, two, three, or four?
It's two.
Mm-hmm. It is two. They said it was three. So I don't know if they're including the Clone Wars movie, but I'm gonna go ahead and spoil something for you. I took another quiz on this same website, right? And it said, how many movies did Christopher Lee portray Dooku? And I was like, well, the last one probably included the Clone Wars movie. So this one I know for sure is gonna be two, because all he's in is Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. Couldn't think of that last one. And I hit two and I got it wrong. It said three. And I was like, he only played in two movies. So I didn't know if maybe you could help me with racking my brain and another time Christopher Lee portrayed Dooku, but there might be a slight, might be off. I just want to go ahead and say that. This quiz might be off.
Don't you remember when you know when Luke goes to Naboo to find the four fingered
Yoda?
halfling Yoda, and
Midget
Count
Man?
Dooku was there with yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. All right. Oh, this one's gonna be hard. I like the question, but I don't think I can do it because I can't give you options.
Well, ask it and
Um,
just got options.
okay, but I expect detailed on this. What lightsaber form did Dooku use? The form and its name. Because I know you know the form.
Do I know the form? Hold up.
David, you don't know the form? It was a form that was not used much in the time because they did not say lightsaber to lightsaber form, and so being that Jedi didn't fight Jedi because Sith weren't around for a long time, wasn't a form that was well known. But that's why Dooku was such a good swordsman because he was a master of this form. You know this. You're gonna kick yourself. I'm gonna kick you.
So it's not Form 4, Form 5, or Form 7. Because I know all of those. What is it, like Form 6 or something?
Keep guessing.
Form 2.
There you go. It's Form 2, David.
Okay.
And guessing by the fact that you didn't know it was Form 2, I would assume you don't know the name of the form, but it's Makashi. We're gonna go with that. Makashi. Um, Here's another one that you are not going to get options with. Unless you want a 50-50 chance. If you can't think of a name at all, I can give you a 50-50. But who voice acted Dooku in the Clone Wars series?
Okay, I should know this. So
I didn't.
let's see, Matt Lanter was Anakin. Um, I used to know Obi-Wan's name. Hold up.
James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, James Arnold Taylor. For some reason, I was just thinking Arnold Taylor. I'm like, that's not right. Or that's
It's like
not the whole thing.
there's a missing point here. Yeah, neither one of those. Do you need a 50-50?
Sure.
Corey Burton, Ian Ember Permapi. Corey or Ian?
Let's go with Corey.
It's correct. Yes, Corey. Corey
Oh,
Burton.
wow. Wow.
That's who did it. Good job. I do promise that this is the only. Well, I have another one, but I'm probably not going to end up using it.
So I'm guessing with that one, since you had two, I'm guessing you got it wrong, and so you
Yeah,
were
no,
reading
I
your
got it
answer
wrong.
and the okay.
I'm kind of annoyed because I didn't think about it in the time that I wouldn't have multiple choice. This was a good quiz. I probably should just. Well, if I sent it to you, you'd have to do it timed, and you wouldn't be able to talk about it. I do have some actual ones that are a little bit better. I had a couple more on there that I wanted to use, but I'm not going to because I'm gonna have to continue to do this, and it makes it look like I came unprepared when I didn't prepared. Okay, load. All right. Here is another quiz that I'm gonna start you on. Who was Count Dooku's first Padawan? Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Voss, Rajul Averas, Qui-Gon Jinn.
I'm gonna guess the third one.
Rajul or whatever. Rajul.
Yeah,
Yep.
since apparently he had 6 apprentices, and
Well, there's four right there. Well, actually, no. He was he a master to Quinlan Voss?
I guess if you count Dark Disciple, I guess.
I think it wasn't going off of strictly just canon because a lot of his story isn't in canon.
But yeah,
What type of ship does Dooku fly away from Geonosis in Attack of the Clones? A Separatist shuttle, Solar Sailor, the Reproused Jedi Fighter, repurposed. Shut up. A repurposed Jedi Fighter, a luxury space yacht.
I'm guessing the Solar Sailor because it had a sail.
Okay. You are correct.
These
All
are
right.
suspiciously easy.
Yeah, it's not that hard of a quiz. I think there's a couple harder ones later, but it's not that hard of a quiz. Okay. What evidence did Dooku provide to Jabba when convincing him that the Jedi had capped Ratana? Um, think the Clone Wars movie.
Oh.
Okay. Here are your options. A commando droid pretending to be captured to pretending to be a captured clone that explained their plan to kidnap the kid. A hologram of Ahsoka and Anakin putting the slug into a backpack because I thought I don't remember this being the name of it. I thought I remember it being like something else. But anyways, a hologram of Anakin fighting Ventress, a Force uh dozer dozier from the Jedi explaining their plan to kidnap the kid in yeah
Okay,
yeah anyways
so it's been a long time since I've seen Clone Wars movie, but I think if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was the hologram of Anakin and Ahsoka with the backpack.
that's your final answer.
Yes.
Well, you remembered correctly.
Okay.
Good job, David. All right, here we go. Here's one that's a little bit more deep lore. Who did Dooku kill on Sereno before officially leaving the Jedi Order? His sister, Jinza, his former friend, Siflo-Dyas, his brother,
Yes.
Ramilia. That is what it's supposed to say. his former, his other former friend, Master Kinstina, has two former friends on the list. Yeah, one is Cypher Diaz. So, anyways, what's your is how you spell
uh,
Cypher Diaz? Dang.
I don't know, so this is just gonna be a complete guess. I don't think he killed Cephadius on Sereno. Could be wrong about that. It would all. I mean, I'm gonna go with his sister because that would make sense of why he went back to be the count. So I'm gonna go with his sister.
Nope, it is his brother, which
Oh,
I was confused about because I thought I remembered in his story that he had a really close connection with his sister, despite being a Jedi, and that was a problem, and so he decided to kill her. But I guess I just remembered it wrong, and it was his brother. All right, David, you finally missed one. All right, on what planet did Dooku meet Asajj Ventress? Boy, this is gonna be a Oh no, actually, I know what all these planets are. Dathomir, Coruscant, Rakatak, Sereno.
it's not Coruscant, not Sereno. I think it's Rakatak, isn't it?
What's your answer?
Yeah,
You're not supposed to ask me. I have the answers.
yeah, it's Rakatak.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Why was Dooku's name changed? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this one's gonna be a little bit interesting. Um, why was Dooku's name changed in Brazilian versions of Star Wars? Dooku is similar to an offensive term in Portuguese. Dooku shares a name with a historical figure in Brazil. Dooku sounds like, quote, from the ass in Portuguese. It is not actually changed in Brazil. This one's tough. When was the last time you watched Star Wars in Portuguese? Or not in, I guess Portuguese, yeah, but did you watch it in Brazil last time?
Well, okay, so I don't think it would have anything to do with the actual Portuguese language because it only specifically talks about Brazil. You know what? I'm just gonna go with it wasn't changed in Brazil because I love the idea of coming up with a question just just for no reason.
You know, that was what I put, but it actually apparently sounds like quote from the ass in Portuguese. That's apparently
Hey,
what it sounds like. So you got that one wrong. Um, finish. Okay, it's finished. I did take another one, but like the last one, or the first one, you're gonna have to just kind of know certain things.
mhm.
Okay, so we'll see how far you get. What is the name of the ship Count Dooku died on?
I should know this. They mention it in the movie, don't they?
I know I should have known it too, but I didn't. To be fair,
Do you
there are
have
some
them?
other pretty the options.
Yeah.
I have two because I got it wrong. I mean, I could
Uh,
probably pick up the quiz again, but it's gonna be timed. Not a way for me to stop it from being timed, which sucks because I thought I could, but yeah, just think about that for a second.
I should know this.
You really
Well,
should.
why? At least you got it wrong too. Then I won't feel. I won't feel so bad.
Makes you feel a little better.
And you got it wrong with multiple choice, so yeah.
I'm honored that you think we're on par with Star Wars knowledge.
Oh man.
Sometimes I surprise myself, and then sometimes sometimes I don't. Which one was
Okay.
this?
What is? I can't even think of anything right now off the top of my head.
All right,
What?
I give you a 50-50 chance. I'll give you a 50-50
Okay.
chance. All right. Invisible Hand, Devastator.
I think it's the Invisible Hand, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
This one you won't
Okay.
need multiple choice. This next one you won't need. I put Devastator because I couldn't remember. Um, this- you'll get this one. At least you better get this one. Upon leaving the Jedi Order, Dooku was a part of what list of Jedi that had all left the Order?
Should get that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're not getting multiple choice on this one. Where'd you go? Can't
Uh,
cheat.
camera just.
Gonna say you
Damn,
can't just cut your.
I thought I got Craig here, but I don't know why. What do
Hey, but you're not allowed to look up the answers while your camera's off.
Okay, camera's back up. Now let's see if I can actually get the recording back up here.
Did the
Uh,
recording crash?
yeah. So what happened? I think was I don't really know why, but so the dock I have for that the camera's plugged into and the
Mm-hmm.
drive that I'm recording onto is also plugged into. I think came loose. I don't know how. I didn't bump it or anything, but yeah. So that's a thing.
Okay.
I just hope that it actually saved the bit of recording that we had before. I mean, I've got Craig over here, so I got the audio, but
Yeah. Well, hopefully the rest went through.
or not Craig, but Barry.
Okay. Well, uh, you know what the list he was on was called?
Oh, it's the thing from episode 2.
Hmm. It's the
I
deleted scene that you specifically brought up.
Yeah, see, I know what stuff is, doesn't mean I know what it's called.
Okay. Well, how about this? I'm gonna tell you the first part of it, and you're gonna tell me the last little bit. It's the list is called the lost what? There's a number. How many?
So I know it's the Jedi Masters who have fallen in battle. Well, everyone has, all of them have died except for Dooku.
Okay.
But I'm probably way undershooting this, but I'm gonna guess 7.
Nope. It's the lost 20.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm way undershooting it.
You know, I was thinking about this, David. Um, the shoes on the other foot here, because I'm the one that's asking you the questions. You know,
And
and
I
you did
don't
this to me
like
for
it.
you did this to me for months. Now, I will say this: it's a little bit more unfair because you're not getting multiple choice for most of these. However, you did this to me for months, so this is payback. All right, you're gonna get this one because we've already talked about it. What is the home world of Count Dooku?
Serena.
There we go. I thought you were about to just not have an answer, and I was about to pick you. All right. Where did Dooku recruit the bounty hunter Jango Fett to become the clone army template?
Where?
Where? If you know this, I'll be impressed. I guessed.
What did you say, Mandalore?
Hmm? Oh, I guessed it right.
Oh, you guessed it right. Hmm. There's a lot of planets.
There's a lot of planets. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what this one is because I don't think you're gonna get it if you don't know it. Moons of Bogdan. Bogdan. So not only are there a lot of planets, there's a lot of moons. uh, Here's one that you can do. How did Coyote Mundi describe Dooku when Padme claimed that he was behind the attempt on her life?
I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of he's a former Jedi and not a killer.
You don't remember the exact quote? David, you need to have Star Wars drilled into your head. I'm disappointed. No, he's a political idealist, not a murderer.
No.
Okay, we're working
I
on
was
you,
half
buddy.
right.
Kinda. Uh, Upon joining the Sith, what name did Count Dooku take?
Darth Tyrannus?
Mm-hmm. During the Clone Wars era, what was Count Dooku in charge of?
I mean, there's several things. I mean, he was the
Think
Count
very broad.
Parental, the
No, think very
CIS,
broad. All right, and what does that stand for?
the Confederacy of Independent Systems.
There you go. That's all I was looking for. Um, who was Count Dooku's secret apprentice and assassin during the Clone Wars era?
Which one? assuming you're not talking about Dark Disciple, it would just be a Asajj Ventress.
Yes. Who killed Count Dooku?
Well, because Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss failed, it came down to Anakin,
Mhm. Um.
or should I say Darth Vader?
Yes. How old was Dooku when he fought against Yoda? 73, 50, 68, or 80?
Okay, so it's either 73 or 80. However, if he was 83 when he died, I don't think the Clone Wars was that long or that short. But I think that's way too long for it to be Clone Wars, so I'm gonna guess 80.
That's what that had. And finally, David, and I'll let you off the hook after this last one. Who portrays Count Dooku in the only two movies that he appears in?
Huh. That's a tough one. Probably the hardest one you asked.
Hmm.
Hmm. Okay, okay. I don't remember this for sure, but I got a wild guess.
Nope,
Okay,
it's wrong.
okay. Sir Christopher Lee.
No, Sir Ian McKellen. All right, fine. I'll give it to you. You were close. You got Sir. All right,
uh,
David. That is all. I did bring up the Wikipedia article. I also brought up the StarWars.com article, which is probably more factual. I don't feel like reading either one of those. Your brain's probably mostly fried from having to think. Yep, that was it. So we haven't been recording for that long. Do you want to hop over to a what's new with you?
yeah, we haven't had one of these in a while, so I'm sure there's something we can talk about. I know I've got something to talk about. I'll probably
Possibly.
bore
Well,
you with it, but
let's go ahead and hop over to what's new with you, and you can lead off.
What's new? What's new with you? What's new? What's new with you? What's new? What's new with you? Yeah!
did you actually hear it?
I did. It's not going to surprise me in a couple minutes.
Okay. Uh, yeah.
Usually when it does that, it comes through so loud too. Like it's louder than normal, and it's really scary. Anyways,
Okay. So,
what's new with you, David?
Wesley, do you remember that game that I wanted you to play and that you still
Which
haven't finished?
which which one?
Like one of the first games I told you about.
The one that I think we're both thinking about because there's something pertaining to it that you can be talking about.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're talking about Fallout because of the new show that came out.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, don't spoil anything for me because I do want to watch the show. I just found out they're all hour-long
The
episodes.
show is very good. The show is very
It, I,
good.
it looks good.
Now, you okay. You will miss some stuff from having not played the games, but you will still enjoy it if you just go in and watch it without having finished all the games.
Now, is it takes elements from like or maybe not elements, but is it like you said there will be things that I miss? Are there like Easter eggs and references to games
Yeah, yeah.
from
There's
all the
there's a
games?
bunch of Easter eggs and references. They were very meticulous with like the world building, and so there's a lot of like blink and you'll miss it, Easter eggs and stuff in the show.
Hmm.
So they did a good job with replicating the world, but it's not connected to. I mean, it is because it's the same universe, but it's not directly connected to any of the games.
Hmm.
So you will have to. I mean, you won't have to have played any of the games. And you might need. It might help to understand to know some more of the lore, but you don't really need to go into it. But no.
Well,
So I
I
started
already
watching.
plan. Already plan on when I watch it to probably reference new rock stars for their breakdowns because they're usually pretty thorough with running through all the Easter eggs and different things that I don't recognize most of the time. So
Mm,
probably do
yeah,
that. I could look into the lore. We'll see.
yeah. So I will say I watched the first episode last week after we recorded the podcast
Hmm.
on Thursday. I was done by Saturday with all 8 episodes.
Dude, when do you find the time? These are hour-long episodes.
Yeah, and they're good. Well,
I mean, I'm not doubting that, but David, that's 8 hours you gotta watch.
actually, I watched 2 episodes Thursday night, 2 episodes Friday night, and the rest Saturday.
You might just have too much time on your hands. And I have find that very hard to
Possibly,
believe. I find that
possibly.
very hard to believe that you have too much time on your hands, but it just might be. I don't have that kind of time. Me and Sarah, so with the Disney Hulu thing merging, or it's been Disney Hulu or whatever, but with the like when you get on Disney Plus with the app, you can access Hulu together on it. We have been watching Sherlock because Sherlock is on Hulu. Well, with the bundle that we have, it plays ads. So the Sherlock episodes with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, um, they're hour and a half long episodes, and with the ads, it takes about 2 hours to watch an episode. So we've been moseying through those periodically. She always loves to ask me if I want to watch it at about 8 o'clock at night when I'm trying to be in bed before 9:30 or 10. Uh, so we don't watch it every night. But we try to at least watch one a week. And so we've been watching through that. But even though these aren't gonna have ads, it's still an hour that I gotta sit down and watch. I mean, not
Well,
even a full hour because of the
well,
credits.
okay.
Still,
There's an ad at the beginning on Prime, but it doesn't interrupt you in the middle of the show.
still about an hour that I gotta sit and
Yeah,
watch. I'm still
yeah.
trying to finish Invincible, and that has like a season and a half.
Oh yeah, I still need to finish season 2. I was waiting for the whole thing to come out before I watched
You
it.
know what's sad, David? So this past year, me and Sarah, for those of you who are not part of our family, our grandparents have a condo down in Florida that they go to every year. And every once in a while, sometimes people will go with them. And so we went with them this past year. Me and my family went with them. And on the way down, I said to myself, I am going to watch Invincible. I'm going to finish Invincible while I'm down there. I said, I'm going to finish Invincible and I'm going to finish Fallen Order. Well, I finished Fallen Order. I apparently, because I looked at it recently, because I watched a new episode of Invincible, I only watched one episode. I swear I remember watching at least two on the ride down. But nope, I only watched one.
Did you only watch the first episode?
No, I'd seen the first episode, so maybe I rewatched it. Then I
Okay,
watched episode two.
because I know I showed you the first episode that one time,
Oh, I
and
know
then
the
you
first
didn't
episode
watch it.
very well because it's ingrained in my memory because I've seen it like 5 times.
Hmm.
On episode 4, David. I'm on episode 4. I watched episode 3 like a week ago, and haven't gotten around to watching the next one because they're pretty long episodes too.
Yeah, but see that's another show that I was able to just binge through, so I don't know how it's taking you so long.
I don't do well with. Oh, okay. When I have a lot going on in my life, I don't need to sit and focus on a show. Like, I've been watching Phineas and Ferb recently because I can put it on and not pay attention. You might ask, why are you watching something if you don't want to pay attention? It's a comfort show. You put it on in the background and then you sit on your phone. It makes you feel less alone. I'm saying that while Sarah's sitting right next to me watching it, but anyways. I don't want to have to sit and use my mind. That's why I'm on social media in the first place, David.
That's
All
kind of the
TikTok
opposite.
and YouTube Shorts and
That's kind of the
Instagram
opposite of
Reels are
using your
for.
mind.
I know. Well, my
Yeah, but
brain's drained from the rest of everything going on. I got
okay,
school,
you don't
and then I got
you don't
work,
need
got
you
this,
don't
got a
you don't need to
baby.
you don't need to spend too much time on social media and kill our one brain cell.
It's half a brain cell, David. Can't even
Yeah,
use that
because you've been
half to.
watching. Yeah, because you've been watching stuff on social media.
Uh huh. I don't use. Honestly, okay. So the other day we were talking at work, and so this is for anyone who can't see. I would describe and say, well, this is the phone I have. iPhone, right? This is a little button I have down here. I have an iPhone 8. Okay. For anyone who, there are a lot of people who don't really care. Okay. And I'm not saying anything about it being an iPhone. This is Sarah's old phone. Okay. It's a piece of crap. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. She knows it. I just got it because I had an Android, like a $50 Android that I was using before this. So this was an upgrade. Anyways, I pulled it I pulled it out at work the other day. Text Sarah or something like that, and someone looked over at it and they're like, "You have an iPhone with a button?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Whatever." They're like, "What is that?" I said, "It's an iPhone 8." And they're like, "You have an iPhone 8?" It's like, "What do you do with an iPhone 8?" And like, they're not really roasting me on it, but they're like, "What are you doing? Like, it's crazy." I was like, "I don't use my phone that much. I don't care what kind of phone I have. It just needs to be here if someone needs to call me." And I do some YouTube stuff on here too. That's all I really use on my phone. I do have social media on here, but to be fair, I don't use it that much. So I'm not killing our brain cell that much. Now, David, I've seen some of the YouTube stuff you've watched. You might be killing our brain cell.
Well, actually, right now my YouTube Shorts feed is pretty much nothing but Fallout because I've been watching a lot of Fallout stuff lately.
Okay, you want to know something weird? So you've been watching Fallout, right? Have you been watching on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense, right? You know how much baby and new parent stuff I get in my feed? I haven't done a thing on my phone pertaining to baby or anything, right? It's all on Sarah's. But my phone is filled with newborn stuff and pregnancy stuff and new parent stuff, sometimes specifically new father stuff. And I'm like, they're making it obvious.
I mean, okay, at this point, is there anyone who still doesn't believe that they listen to you through your phone for advertisement?
I'm not saying I'm surprised. I'm just saying it's weird that well, it's not even weird. It's just proving the point.
You can you can like with your phone in the room talk about a specific item with someone else for 10 minutes straight, and then when you pull up your phone, the next ad you see will be for that item.
My teacher in like 10th grade or something like that I had was talking about that, and they said they didn't ever look up the item. They did not search it on any of their devices, right? They just had a brief conversation about it. Like not even that long, just a brief mention of an item. It wasn't even one they were gonna buy. I think it was something that maybe like their daughter was gonna buy for their kid or something like that. And they get up on their computers, and yeah, like you said, one of the first ads was that for that specific thing. It's like, now, me and Sarah talk about it every once in a while, and we're like, hey, you know, let's be honest here. Should I really care that this little thing right here is a listening device for the government? What does the government want with me? Some
Well,
insignificant person in the
I
middle of
also think
Florence.
I also find it funny how there's people who like have all these like conspiracy theories about like the government trying to do stuff to spy on you. Yet they willingly carry around a device that the government can spy on you
Mhm.
through. Like
Yeah.
it's not the
I
government doesn't
I
need some kind of like chip to implant into you. They can track you because you willingly carry around a GPS everywhere
they
you
got
go.
they got you to pay hundreds of dollars for them to listen to you.
Exactly. They don't.
Sometimes thousands. Sometimes thousands. Phones these days are crazy. That's why I have an 8. I'm not paying
Mhm.
$1,000 for a phone. I felt bad paying $200 for a phone. You can't get a good one for less than that nowadays, though. It's sad. I, I
Right,
want I
that's like
want
the bare minimum for a decent phone.
I want to go back to the days when I had my little slidey keyboard phone. It was my sister's. She got an upgrade. I got that phone. I loved it. It was simple. It was simple days. All you had to do was text.
Or even just a BlackBerry.
I like the slide though.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
It's my style.
You had a fidget
I
toy?
like you. Had the little. Yeah, it was a fidget toy. Shut up, David. Nobody likes you. Calling me out here. It's because you're right doesn't mean you have the right to do it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, sure, they're listening. Sure, advertisements. Shut up. Don't think about it too hard. You're using our brain cell way too hard for brain cell. Um, those are the migraines I get in my head is when you're trying to think.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, did I go too far on that one?
Uh,
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I'm surprised you got it. You know. To be fair, since we do share the brain cell, half a brain cell, I'm surprised I thought of it. So, we're all a little surprised here. um. Anyways, I'm not important. I'm just not. I'm just not important enough for the government to really get any important information out of listening to me. That's my take on it.
I mean, we are all assigned an FBI agent who, listens in on everything we say, watches everything we do.
Yeah, that's where your taxes go.
Yeah.
However much you give a year is how much they get.
Hmm.
That wouldn't add up because that would suck. I pay the government way too much, but I don't pay them enough to pay somebody. That's not a good salary. Anyways, David, what more do we have?
That's a good question.
I'm done insulting you for the day.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, we're not going to be talking too much longer, so. And I'm getting hungry. My dinner I haven't eaten yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
My dinner's
I'll let
probably
you.
cold.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go stick your dinner in the microwave.
I'd like to do that. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, sounds good to me.
Ah. that's about all the time we have for today.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Let us know what you thought in the comments down below, or you can DM us on Instagram at WFTRYT.
And as always, be sure to join us next week on the Trailcast.